Now, I ask this at the beginning of the webinars because I had a terrible experience once upon a time, Sarah. It was one of my first ever webinars, and I thought it was going really well. And then after 10 minutes, I went back into the chat because I hadn't actually looked yet, and everyone was like, "You're sharing the wrong screen." Like all the slides that I was
Ooh.
sharing, I was like sharing like the wrong Chrome window or whatever. Super embarrassing. Now I always ask at the beginning, and it looks like people can see and hear. And the other thing I was
Yay.
asking is for people to tell us where in the world they're joining us from. And it's kind of cool. We've got people, Sarah, your audience comes from all over. So we've got
I
people here
know.
from DC, California, Vancouver Island, Canada, Texas, Maine, Phoenix, Alberta, Germany, Medellin, Colombia, Vermont, Atlanta,
What?
California. So really we have people from all over here. So for me here in New York City, it's 3:01 p.m. So before I turn this over to Sarah and have she shares her presentation and her really great offer with us today, I do want to actually go over a few quick logistical notes. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly share my screen with everyone. Now you're watching this webinar right now, and you're looking at a screen probably that looks something like this. Now, if you are seeing anything be blurry, if it's hard to read the slides or something like that, just make sure to click the gear button on the bottom right and change the quality to the highest one, 720p HD. Sometimes if your internet connection goes slow, it can downgrade it to a lower quality. So just make sure it's at the highest quality if you think it's blurry. And if things are a little bit too small, no problem. You can hit the full screen button on the bottom right to make it full screen. Just note that when you make it full screen, you won't be able to see the chat. So you'll have to exit full screen mode to pop your question into the chat to ask that. Now, speaking of the chat, go ahead and ask questions throughout the presentation. Ask them during the chat. I'll be writing them down for Sarah. But there is one question. People always say there's no such thing as a bad question. There's one bad question in this webinar, which is, will there be a replay?
Of
Because
course.
the answer is yes, there will be a replay. You will get it
Oh, yes.
automatically. You won't have to do anything. You don't need to email us. You don't need to email Sarah. You don't need to email anyone. You're going to get a replay automatically. So I need your help right now, you in the chat. If you see someone saying like, will there be a replay? Could you give me an assist and be like, yes, there will be a replay. It would mean a lot to me.
Of course.
Now, Sarah, it's 3:03 p.m. for me. So I want to make sure that we hear everything you have to say. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we'll just dive right in. If you've been on a webinar with me before, you know I just we're going for it. We're not going to dilly-dally around. All right. This. Okay, cool. So Cameron, let me know if we're all good to go, because I have also had that happen where you start talking, you're so energized, you're into it, and then people are like, girl, we cannot see you or we cannot hear you. All
I
right.
forgot to unmute myself. Yes, looks good. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, I'm going to assume since I didn't hear anything. All right, so today we're going to talk about how to get more done every day and become a productive solopreneur. So you are going to learn how to prioritize tasks so that the important stuff, the money makers, always gets finished. You're going to learn how to plan your entire month in advance so you always know what to work on next. This is a big one. I just did a poll on Instagram stories a couple days ago, and lots of my audience said they like to plan a week at a time over a month, but I am going to try and convince you that a month is the way to go. And then you're also going to learn how to stick to your schedule so that you can finish your projects on time and then feel confident about tackling bigger things. Here's why this is important. Number one, I know for all of you watching today, we are taking on way too many tasks. We are adding in way too many strategies. You're probably reading all the blog posts, listening to all the podcasts, watching all the videos, talking to people in Facebook groups, and I'm betting that you have a list of like approximately 5 million strategies that you would like to try and implement at some point. You don't need that many. Number two, it's important because we end up with that many strategies working off an endless to-do list, which means we work way too many hours. This is something that I have to convince my coaching students of all the time. I think at least once a session, there is somebody that I have to like con into taking a break. So I know y'all are working way too many hours. And then the reason I'm so big on this is because we end up hating the business we've created. This freedom-based business, being self-employed, freelancing starts to feel kind of shitty. And then we are pointed straight at burnout. And, you know, I don't want that to happen to you. So I'm glad you are here today to hang out with me. So to keep that from happening, you need to do a couple of things. Number one, you're going to be prioritizing your tasks so that you're checking off the important stuff first. Number two, you are going to plan your month so that everything you want to get done has a spot in your schedule. And number three, we are going to stick to the plan and hit our deadlines like bosses. So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through each step and help you apply it to your business. That's something that is also very important in the things that I teach, that I'm not just giving you the tasks for my business, because I know some of you are at home with your kids, you're homeschooling, maybe you're side hustling, so you have a full-time job. So me in my apartment with my 2 dogs, the way I run things doesn't always apply to everyone else's business. So we're going to talk about applying these steps to your business and your situation. So make sure that if you don't already, grab a pen and paper, open up a document so you can take some notes. And then just for watching, of course, we're going to give you a discount for my course, The Productive Solopreneur. It has everything to help you simplify, organize, and automate every aspect of your business. I'm going to show you a little bit more of that later, and I will also be answering your questions at the end, but feel free to pop them in the chat as we go, like Cameron said, and then we'll talk about all of your questions, and I'll help you apply some things at the end. So here is the thing that most people don't realize about productivity and getting a lot of stuff done. It's not necessarily about doing more. It's about adding simple strategies and then taking daily focused action. We consume so much content that we end up layering so many strategies and they don't always work together. So you just end up having more stuff to do. So anytime I have resistance to a task, I'm feeling procrastination coming on, I'm picking up my phone and suddenly I'm on Instagram, I always ask myself, how can I make this easier? What is the easiest, what is the most simple version of the project or the task that I want to do so that I can actually fit it in my schedule and get it done? So this is what my days used to look like. I've been self-employed for 8 years now. I started out as a web designer, so I was taking on one-on-one clients. I did that for the first 2 or 3 years of my business before I transitioned into digital products. But my first 2 years looked a lot like this. So I would wake up 8 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, scroll for Instagram for about an hour, just laying in bed. I'm sure some of you do that too. Then I would check email. The first thing I would do is check email. Sometimes I would be in bed checking it on my phone. And then I would do any tasks that were required for my clients. Maybe somebody is asking me to do a webinar like this or join a summit, and I would respond back immediately. And then around 10 a.m., I'm looking at my notepad. I just, buy all the fancy notepads, and then I would write down every single thing. So I'd have pages and pages of tasks. And I would pick something that kind of felt easy, pick the fun thing first, right? So maybe I'm designing some graphics. As a web designer, graphic designer, that's a fun task for me. So I would do something like that first. And then maybe around noon, I'm scrolling through Instagram a little more, getting some inspiration, some motivation. Maybe I'm remembering to eat lunch. 1 p.m., doing something easy again. Maybe I'm pinning to Pinterest, and then I'm probably going to get an idea on Pinterest, or I'm going to read a blog post with a strategy and start going down that rabbit hole and planning and brainstorming. Then I'm going to realize it's 2 p.m. I'm really far into my day and I haven't done anything significant yet. So I'll probably start working on a client project, but feel rushed and maybe a little guilty that I'm just starting it in the middle of the day. So maybe I work on that for a few hours. I get a good chunk of work in. And then around 5 p.m., I would realize I need to write tomorrow's email still. But then I start going through my inbox, and then I remember the email again. So that task, which maybe should have taken me 20 minutes, takes me an hour. And then I realize I haven't posted on Instagram. So I feel guilty again. I try to take photos, nothing looks right because it's 6 p.m. and it's dark out. And I decide I'll do it tomorrow. I can do Instagram tomorrow. Then I'll have dinner, and then I would go back to working. You guys feel me on that one? I would go back to the webinar. I would start designing the landing pages, working on graphics again, and then I would be working until 10 or 11 at night, realize that it's late, I am exhausted, and then I would just watch TV, fall asleep, and then go through the whole thing again the next day. which meant that I never felt like I was getting enough done. I literally would feel guilty stopping work at 8, 9, 10 o'clock after working 12 hours, 14 hours. I would feel guilty. I never felt like I was growing fast enough. I never felt like I really knew what I was doing because I was so scattered during the day. I was like, people who know what they're doing do not work like this. And I always felt overwhelmed, stressed out, and like I was working way too many hours. So here's how I, and now you, get focused and get back on track. Step one, you're going to prioritize your tasks. So there are 3 different types of tasks that we run into. Need to get done tasks. These are things that either you're going to be paid to do, like client work, promoting your product, sending emails, things that are going to generate income, or things that have a deadline. Say, I need to finish up the webinar slides for this workshop. So those are going to be your need to get done tasks. Should get done. These are probably things that you came up with from listening to podcasts, from taking courses. They're going to be beneficial to your business, but there's not really a deadline. You could do it at any time. This is things like making website updates. Maybe you're creating extra graphics. Maybe you're taking Pinterest graphics and making them into Instagram graphics. Maybe you're updating an email sequence, something like that. And then there's tasks that you want to get done, or you just end up kind of doing without thinking about it, because maybe you're nerdy like me and like organizing and planning, and things like color coding your calendar are fun and you want to spend time on that. It's things like getting ideas on Instagram, or updating things like your photos, or updating things on your website without checking out the data first. So need to get done, should get done, want to get done. So what I want you to do is, if you have your paper in front of you, you can like make 3 columns and brain dump that everything that you want to get done this week or this month. Or you could even go back and look at everything you did last month and put it into 3 columns. And you're going to categorize them as need to, should do, or want to. Kind of high, medium, low priority. Now, the tasks that need to get done, you're going to add them to this week, maybe next week. You're going to add them in your schedule really soon. Things that you should be doing, spread them over the next month or 2. And things that you want to do, like color coding your calendar or organizing your planner, put it in a safe place, and then you're going to ignore it forever because these tasks are not going to add to your bottom line. Literally take that list and put it in the trash. You are not going to be doing that. So step 2 is to take all of those tasks and to plan your month. I highly, highly recommend using a project management system because it will help you put everything into one spot. My boyfriend pointed out to me the other day that I keep nothing in my brain. Everything needs to go either into a notes, like an Evernote. So I've got all of my brainstorm stuff in there, and all of my tasks, all of my projects and plans are in Asana. And I use the free version, so that's a really great platform, but Trello, Monday, whatever works for you is totally fine. So we're gonna break the projects that we wanna do into tasks. So something like writing a new email sequence, creating an ebook, setting up Facebook ads. We are going to take those tasks and break them into subtasks. So if my main task is creating this workshop, then my subtask would be things like planning the logistics, date, time, who, what, where, when. Creating a sign-up page, so a landing page with an opt-in box on it, outlining my workshop, creating slides. This is something that is probably going to take me more than a couple of hours. So I would maybe have 3 tasks in my week for just creating slides, and then creating emails and social media to promote the program or to promote the webinar, and setting up all of the tech stuff. Thankfully, Cameron did that part for me on this one. And then this is what it's going to look like in Asana. Like I said, I use the free version. You don't need all of the fancy bells and whistles. And this is what it looks like. When you open up a new task, you'll be able to add your title, a due date, and then you can see underneath there's space for a description. So I just put all of the like logistical things in there, what I need to get done, any links that are important. and then you're going to add subtasks. So on that task, when you scroll down, there are subtasks underneath. So I'm adding all of my subtasks, and then I'm adding a due date for each. And this is what is going to help you so much. You're breaking that one task that is maybe going to take, well, at least takes me to do a workshop, maybe like 12 hours. You can't put a 12-hour task into your calendar. So anything that is more than 2 hours, I break up. So this one, as you can see, only has one create slides. I probably had 3, maybe 4 of those same tasks, and they were all scheduled for different days. So subtasks, subtask due dates. And when you click into each subtask, you can also add more notes. So when I'm writing emails, I make sure that I've got the correct link for you guys to sign up. I just stick that in the description so I don't have to go looking for it. Okay, this is what my week usually looks like in Asana. So I've got my main task. Over this week, this is actually what my week looks like this week. I'll be doing some podcast transcripts today, but I needed to edit transcripts for 25 podcasts. Instead of just putting that into one day, which would never get done, it would get pushed back over and over. I add my main task over here, and you can see it's got 5 subtasks. So here are my subtasks. Transcripts, actually, I think I got another slide for you. Here are all my subtasks. Podcast transcripts, 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, and 21 through 25. And then once those are all done, I can check off my main task. I have also a main task for my actual podcast episode for the week. So every week I have my podcast episode. This week we're up to podcast 35. And then I've got my subtask, which is I'm going to do a blog post and an email this week, and also turn it into a wave, which is like a little promotional graphic. So main task, subtasks. And then I also have tasks that repeat every week. When you go to add the date, you can set it to repeat. So things like batching Instagram content, this repeats every single Monday. And the thing about repeating tasks is it starts to become a habit. So I know showing up consistently on Instagram can be really challenging. If you have that repeating tasks and you're doing it every Monday or every Friday, whatever your day of the week is, it starts to become a habit, which makes it easier and easier and easier to get it done. So tasks that repeat, I've got my bookkeeping every Friday. I do a little CEO check-in on my goals and what I'm working on. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, you only have 3 to 4 tasks in your calendar every day. How is that possible? Let me tell you. Number 1, I only schedule the number of tasks I have time for. Most people overestimate how much they can get done in a day and underestimate how many tasks they can do in a year. You've probably heard that before. So I know how much time each task takes. I know how long it takes me to record a podcast episode, how long it takes me to make slides for a webinar like this, how long it takes me to make social media graphics. So you might spend some time this week tracking how long things take for you. How long does it take to write a blog post? How long does it take to write an Instagram post? And then you'll be able to put them into your calendar in a way that's realistic. So for me, creating a workshop takes about 2 weeks. It might take you 4 weeks. It might take you 3 days. So when you figure out how much time you have, how much time each task takes, you'll be able to fill your schedule based on that. So you will feel more more confident checking off 3 tasks per day and taking a little longer to finish your project than adding 7 tasks a day or 12 or 25. I see you out there doing that. And then constantly pushing them back. That actually starts to kind of break down the trust in ourselves that we can accomplish things. If you put in write Instagram post and you push that back over and over again, how are you going to feel confident or trust yourself that you could do something bigger? It becomes a little challenging. All right, your third step is to stick to the plan. You are going to be setting work hours or time blocks or roadblocks. So work hours, 9 to 5. I know when I left my job, I was like, I am never working 9 to 5 again. I'm not doing anything that we do in a corporate job. I'm leaving meetings and, email chains and all of this stuff behind. However, after a couple of years, I realized setting myself some work hours was kind of nice, and there was a reason that lots of people in corporate jobs do that. Doesn't mean you have to work 9 to 5. Maybe you're going to work 4:30 to noon. That sounds crazy to me. But maybe you're going to work noon to 8 p.m. You can set whatever hours you want, but set actual hours so that you're done at a specific time. You can also time block your tasks. So this means setting 2 hours in your schedule where you're going to work on Instagram posts, setting the next 2 hours in your schedule for client work, setting the next 2 hours to work on that ebook you keep thinking about. The other thing I like to do is roadblocks. And this is for you if you find that your tasks are taking a really, really long time. Like you kind of know maybe an Instagram post should take you 30 minutes, maybe an hour, not 4 hours. Shout out to my student who told me that this week, that she's spending 4 hours on her Instagram post. So putting a roadblock in means scheduling a lunch, scheduling an appointment, scheduling time to run errands. So setting something in your calendar so that you have to stop working at a specific time. And maybe you're going to add 3 roadblocks every day. Maybe it's something like telling your kids at noon, we're going to go to the park and eat lunch. I definitely think your kids will hold you to that. So setting up something in your day so that, there's the saying about if you give yourself 6 hours, your task is going to take 6 hours. If you give yourself an hour, you'll get it done in an hour. So that's the idea with roadblocks. Also, don't add projects to your calendar without deadlines. This is a huge one. When we're in charge, we can do whatever we want, right? I'm the CEO, I make the plan, I implement the plan, I execute the plan. But if you don't put a deadline on it, you are never going to get it finished. I work with people who are creating digital products, and a lot of times I have students join the program who have already started their digital product, and they're kind of working on it here and there. They're researching, they're brainstorming, they're writing a little, but they're not actually getting anything finished because they haven't picked a launch date. So you need to start setting deadlines on your project. I'm going through a bunch of podcast episodes and editing the transcripts this week. That's something that I could be doing kind of whenever I feel like it and have that last through the end of the year. Instead, I broke it into subtasks, set those in each day, and now I'll be able to complete that project in 1 week. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm feeling confident about it. Next up, you need to force yourself to stay focused. I see you on Instagram scrolling away. I do it too. You're working, you're kind of getting tired, you're getting distracted, and so suddenly your hand, without your brain realizing, picks up your phone and you start to scroll. And Instagram sucks you in. That's the point of the platform. And so you're wasting 30 minutes, an hour doing nothing. So forcing yourself to stay focused. I was doing this the other day. I really wanted to get up and like vacuum or something. That's like, oh, I have 2 dogs, so I always want to vacuum. But I was in the middle of something. I was like, I got to finish this email. Once I'm done with this email, then I can go and clean the apartment or whatever I was thinking about doing. And this is something that definitely takes practice. I could not sit for 2 hours and work on random stuff. I just would be all over the place and switching tasks all the time. And there's been research that shows if you're switching tasks, you are actually losing 20 minutes in between. So going from working on webinar slides to writing emails, just that shift in your focus takes you 20 minutes. So if you are doing emails and graphics, and then you've got coaching call, and maybe you're answering questions, and then you're going to go to your inbox and do client work, you're losing time in between each task, and that can totally add up. You've switched 3 times and you've lost an entire hour. So practicing staying focused, completing that task before you move on. And I'm telling you, it will get easier and easier the more you do that. The next thing to help you stick to your plan is stacking your habits. So put habits together, put tasks together with things you already do or things that you want to do. So let's say every morning you sit down and you journal. That's what I do every morning. So I've been journaling for 100 days. I'm on day 70, like 76, 77 right now. And after I journal, I meditate. Those tasks go together. I was already doing the journaling, and so it's really easy to put something else with that. You can do the same thing. So maybe you create Instagram graphics. You're already doing that in your schedule, and then you also create you create post graphics, and then you also create graphics for stories, or you create your graphics and then you hop on stories and talk to your audience. Maybe it's writing your email for the week, and then you work on writing an email sequence. So stacking things together, they don't have to necessarily go together, but if you already do something, you can add another thing after it or before it to help you stick to that plan. And that comes from James Clear's book, if you need something to read. And then lastly, ditch your excuses. We all come up with reasons to do things that we don't really feel like doing. Often we're tired, we're overwhelmed, we have a lot on our plates. And so we give ourselves, because we're the CEO, we're in charge, we give ourselves reasons to not do the thing that we want to do or we should do or we said we'd do. So what is the most simple version of what you want to do? Often cutting out all the extra stuff will make it easier. So if you want to be on stories, you should be on stories talking to your audience, instead of adding in graphics and stock photos and designing and making everything look fancy, literally put your phone on your laptop. I like my little pop socket for that. Talk to your audience for 2 minutes and post it. You don't have to do your video outside of Instagram and cut things out. You don't need to add filters. You don't need to add anything. If you are having a hard enough time doing the whole fancy Instagram thing, the whole fancy Reels thing, those take a lot of time, I'm finding, then just pull up video, talk to your audience, post it, and be done with it. So I've got another example for you that was really good that came up this week. Shout out to one of my students. I bet she's gonna watch it. She's gonna know it's her. But she has a 10-month-old daughter, and we were talking about her booking some coaching calls, offering one-on-one calls to her audience. And she was saying, it's really hard with my daughter because her schedule is not really set, obviously. And I said to her, what about your son? He can babysit. And she said, yeah, her son can babysit. And I said, okay, raise your coaching call price by 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever it costs to get a babysitter out of him, and use that to take her out of the picture. That was a weird thing to say. Not take her out of the picture, but allow yourself the time and the freedom to do your coaching calls. So whatever your excuse is, there is a way, whether it's simplifying, whether it's increasing your price. Maybe for me, it's doing laundry and keeping the house clean. I hate doing laundry. I could totally raise my price to pay for someone to come in and do my laundry. You can do it too. It's not something that only bajillionaires can do. You need to clean your house, raise your price so that someone can clean your house. All right. Ooh, we're right on time. Amazing. So this is what my days look like now. And this did take me a lot of time because I didn't watch a webinar like this. No one told me how I was supposed to be setting up my days and putting things into a calendar. I didn't start using Asana until probably year 4 or 5. So, I was paper task listing, putting things into a Google Calendar, but I got it figured out. My days are super chill. I do have time to journal and meditate because I make it a priority, but also because the rest of my day is really solidly planned. So now I'm still waking up at 8 a.m. scrolling. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna screw with you guys and pretend that I'm not doing that. I love to lay in bed with the dogs and scroll for an hour in the morning. Still not giving that up. Then at 9 a.m. or so, whenever, usually the dogs start getting rowdy and then they get me up. So maybe it's earlier, but I journal, I meditate, I eat breakfast, and then at 10 a.m. I'm doing task 1. So you'll notice I have 4 blocks in my day. They're flexible. Some things take a little bit more time some days, and some things take a little bit longer, but generally at 10 a.m. I'm going to do number 1 task right now, that is responding to my students who are in my coaching program. So I'll go through all of their homework for the first hour of my day. And then I'm going to switch to task number 2. That might be something like scheduling my Instagram posts. You saw that was on my Monday calendar. So every Monday I schedule my Instagram posts. Around noon, I'm taking a break. The dogs are getting crazy. Luckily for you guys, we already went for a walk. So they're both sleeping. But yeah, I take a full break at noon, walk the dogs, get away from the computer. I'm not on my phone. Instagram is not a break. I eat lunch. And then around 1 p.m., I'm going to check my email. You might be noticing that is the first time I check my email. I do not hang out in my inbox. My students know that if they have a question, they have to go into Slack or into my courses. Do not email me because you won't get a response. So I check email really fast, respond to anything that I need to respond to. If it's something that's going to take more than a couple of minutes, I put a task into my calendar. So I had to, for this webinar, figure out what the title was going to be and some bullet points for what you all were going to learn. So that was a little bit of a bigger task. So I just put that in my calendar. Usually I put it in a couple days later, the next week, whenever I'm going to have time. You don't have to respond to things immediately. That could have been another point in this webinar. Set boundaries. Things don't need to happen within an hour of someone emailing you. And then after my inbox is under control, close that back up, and I'll do my 3rd task. Sometimes I have 3, sometimes I have 4, but it might be something like outlining my podcast episode. I know that's going to take me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because I've done, 35 episodes so far. So I really have an idea of how long that task takes. So it can have a solid time block in my calendar. And then around 3 p.m., I'm going to wrap up. I'm doing my last task 4, recording my podcast episode. I know that will take me 20 to 30 minutes, and then I finish any small tasks. So all of those little business admin tasks that can eat through an entire day, either finish them at the end of the day, or what I do sometimes is I'll, on Friday, just block out 2 hours, and I'll go through as many of them as I can. So I usually have a running list in Asana of things I should do, don't have a deadline, don't have a major benefit. So I just go through that list, knock off whatever I can. And those little tasks, if they don't get done, they don't get done. And it is totally fine because they probably aren't going to turn into income. And then I end my day usually with a workout. I like to have something that separates business from my personal life because I am in a 1-bedroom apartment and I do everything in the same space. So a workout really gives me a good solid end to my day, shower, dinner, and then I can do whatever I want. So that is what my days usually look like right now, instead of this craziness that we went through at the beginning. And if you're like, my schedule totally looks like this, do not worry. You can adjust. It'll take some time, but I promise you can get to a more manageable schedule and get rid of a lot of this overwhelm and working on random projects that aren't really pushing your business forward. So when we look at these 2 different schedules, you can see I've kind of completed tasks. I've maybe written an email. I've worked on my client project because that's the big one with a deadline with my income connected to it. So getting those done was good, but I did spend a lot of my time on random tasks, scrolling, feeling guilty that I didn't do things earlier, or I didn't do things last week, the week before. I'm pushing deadlines back. So now you can see I've got 4 solid blocks. They're flexible. I can move tasks around but I know I have 3 or 4 tasks that need to get done every single day, and all of these tasks contribute to either my income or my business growth. So this means business is not a daily struggle of feeling overworked and also like you're always falling behind at the same time. If that is you, I totally understand. I spent years feeling like that. So I feel you, and it's possible you will get out of it. It is possible. You will get out of that. You'll also be more confident in showing up and claiming your expertise if you feel like you got your shit together. If you can accomplish all of those little tasks, if you can stick to your schedule, the big stuff becomes easier and easier. And like I said, the more you focus on the big stuff, checking off client projects, checking off digital product projects, marketing, the more you do the big stuff, the more your business grows. So in the chat, I would love to hear what's the number one thing you're going to take away from this and put into practice today. Maybe Cameron, you can read some of these if you've got them. I'm going to drink my water for a moment.
Yes, would love to see some answers in the chat in terms of the number one thing that you've learned today. And while you do that, did have one interesting question here from
Yeah.
from Melanie, which is generally a little bit about mindset. Melanie says, if I had foot surgery, I have a family to care for, schedule is off, so how do you handle all the schedule changes with this kind of thing?
Yes. So focus on one task per day. I totally understand. I've worked with a lot of moms in my coaching program, and they have had their kids home nonstop for like 5 months now, and now they're doing homeschooling. So it might just mean that your projects are going to take a little bit more time. If that's the case and you need money, raise your price a little bit. That way you've got a buffer. The other thing you can do is add white space to your calendar. So in between task 1 and 2, give yourself 30 minutes or an hour. Maybe you're only doing 2 tasks or only doing 3 tasks per day. And then knowing how long things take is going to be really, really helpful so that you can kind of schedule and then adjust if you need to, and kind of see if you can speed things up. So often people tell me, oh, it takes me 5 hours to write a blog post. And then I look at their process, and they're spending 2 hours researching. They're spending, 4 hours, my math is off on that one, but they're spending hours writing and rewriting and rewriting. They're spending a lot of time doing graphics. So what can you cut out of that? Maybe you're just doing one graphic. Maybe you just do like a square graphic and, pin that and Facebook it and Instagram, and you're good. Maybe you give yourself 15 minutes for research. You just Google some statistics or something like that. So both cutting down the amount of tasks you're doing every day, so that no matter what's happening, you have like 1 or 2 specific focuses, and then simplifying what you're doing. I used to spend a lot of time on video. I always say I hated editing because it took me like 5 hours to edit like a 20-minute video. So I stopped adding music, I stopped adding graphics, I stopped adding like the cover image at the beginning, fancy transitions. I literally just like record on my phone. My lighting's fine, my sound is fine, people can understand what I'm doing, and go with that. You can always go back and put a shine on things and update and fix and change things. But if you can simplify it to start to just be consistent and get it done, I think that's going to help you a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And we had a lot of people sharing their takeaways while you gave that great answer. So we had people saying less is more, don't add a task to your to-do list without a deadline. Subtasks are key, prioritize, add deadline, set up a calendar. So lots of people with some good takeaways here.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I'm so excited for all of you to have a more chill work day. We're all going to be very zen going forward, maybe. If you got kids at home, I feel for you, but hopefully you'll get some moments of zen in there. So now after going through this, you know how to prioritize everything that you need to get done, so the money-making tasks never fall through the cracks. If there is one thing you take away from that, this is it. Every time you go to do a task, ask yourself, how does this make me money? Because without money, your business is a hobby, and I know that's not what you guys are going for. So how does this make me money? Plan your plan your month in advance so you always know what task to check off next. Stick to your plan, hit your deadlines, and feel like a confident boss. So this is just the first step in becoming a productive solopreneur. I know you all have lots of different tasks on your list, and I would love to help you simplify some of them. So if you're looking for the next steps to simplify, automate, and systematize every aspect of your business to make your workday way more chill, the Productive Solopreneur course can totally help you do that. So this is what you're going to learn in the course. I think I've got 12 videos in there right now. You can see they're not like hours long. They're like 20 minutes, 10 minutes. I do have one pretty good one for social media management, but you know, this is a really palatable course. I am very proud of the compliment that I get that my lessons are easy to learn. But what you're going to end up learning is how to make a 90-day plan for my overachievers, so you always know what tasks to prioritize. You're going to learn how to use a project management system so you can complete your entire to-do list every day. If you want to use Asana or any project management tool, Trello, going through this training is going to be really helpful to see the different things that you can put into it and how you can organize all of your tasks and your ideas and your content so that it's manageable. You'll learn how to create and publish content like blog posts, emails, videos, podcasts, do all of that stuff consistently, because we know when you're consistent on social media, you're going to grow a little bit faster. You'll learn how to promote on social media without feeling like you're opening Instagram and Pinterest 12 times a day. I'm only on Instagram. I aim for twice, but usually it's like 3 times a day. I usually do end up over lunch going in there and DMing some people. And then you're also going to learn how to avoid feeling overwhelmed in your inbox and even hit inbox 0 every single day. You'll also learn how to segment and automate your email list so subscribers get the exact emails they need. If you're feeling like you're being annoying emailing your list, this is awesome because you'll be segmenting everybody so they only get stuff they actually want to read from you. You'll learn how to automate and organize client projects and management so that you can avoid those like endless email threads. This is another way that I stay out of my inbox. I actually have my clients respond to me through a client management software, so I go through that in this training. You'll learn how to create processes so that a virtual assistant can take tasks off your plate. All of those little annoying things, like for me, this was Pinterest management, so I hired a Pinterest manager, and then also editing my podcast. I don't want to listen to myself talk that much, so I hired someone to do that as well. So if you have a system already for how you do things, you can literally just pass it along. Maybe it's a list of the tasks, maybe it's a video, and give that to someone really easily to take that off your plate. And then also 7 things that you can do today to lighten your workload, plus my favorite time-saving apps. And one other thing that I didn't mention is there is a lesson about how long are things really supposed to take? Like how long should I be spending on a blog post or an email or doing a video? So I do have kind of some guidelines in there so you can try and simplify what you're doing and move a little bit faster in your business. And there is support in this program. So all of the lessons have a comment box at the bottom. If you have any questions at any time, just leave a comment and I will hop in with the answer. And usually it takes me less than 24 hours because I get a notification every time that happens. So productive solopreneur students, this is like, I get so proud over this, but they feel more confident about accomplishing their goals because they have an action plan and a system for every aspect of their business. They waste less time on procrastination and indecision over what task to do next. I never want you to open up your computer in the morning and have to decide what to do. You should just go into Asana, your project management system, and do the next thing on your list. And then they also know that they can get more done and grow faster by simplifying and structuring what they do every day. This doesn't mean it has to be rigid, but having kind of a structure for how you run your day is so helpful because you don't have to guess, you don't have to change how you're doing things, you're just kind of following the plan. Here's some feedback from my wonderful students. Jen said, I am loving the Productive Solopreneur. It's so straightforward and simple, but makes so much sense. The 2 download worksheets themselves have proved invaluable. Those are the ones in the first lesson. Learning so much, and it's saving me so much time, and I already thought I was pretty good at planning. Victoria said, I nearly cried from relief when I started putting the lessons from the Productive Solopreneur into effect, especially when I had some time to work on my business and realized for once I finally knew exactly what to work on and why. Love this course so much. And Susan said the best thing I learned from the Productive Solopreneur was to keep stuff simple and going, because I get overwhelmed, I stop working, or I get too enthusiastic. I know this one. And before I know it, I am restyling my whole business. The Productive Solopreneur leads you through what is needed and gives you simple tools and worksheets to stick with it. So right now we're going to give you the Productive Solopreneur for $67. You get a little discount for hanging out with me today. If you guys have questions about the program, about support, about anything, leave comments, or leave a comment, and we'll answer questions for you. And also, you do get the money back guarantee. It's risk-free, no questions asked. If it's not a good fit for you, not exactly what you're looking for, send an email and I will give you a refund. Easy peasy. So workshop discount, you're getting the course for just $67. That's all of the trainings and support from me. Yes, I am the one who jumps in and answers your questions to make sure that you are able to get through the entire program and become a productive solopreneur. So I think we're going to answer some questions now, Cameron, if there are some. I will
Yeah,
get
and
rid
thanks
of
so much.
this.
Thanks for that great workshop. And again, for everyone watching this, you can just click the button right above the video to get Sarah's course with a special offer. And if you're watching this on the replay, which everyone watching this live will get my email. If you're watching this on the replay, there should be a link in the email somewhere if you just click a button and get access to the course. Discount should be valid for, how long was it? I think like a week or
No
something like
idea.
that. I think it was about.
Forever. I don't know.
Well, anyway, so we had some good questions in here. So the first one was from Susan, and it was about the class itself. And
Yeah.
she's asking, and tell me about, are there lives or Q&As included in the course, or is it all online videos?
It's all online videos. It's a self-paced course. And this is something that you could kind of go through in a weekend. I'll always tell you to not work weekends, but if you if you need to get kind of your business and your to-do list under control, yeah, it's all online, self-paced, and then I'm available for support via the comments on all of the lessons. Ooh, can't talk now.
Well, we actually have this really great testimonial here from Jessica. Jessica says in the chat, "I've taken this course, and it has helped me improve so much. I finished it 2 months ago, and learning how to plan my days has been immensely helpful."
Yeah,
And
thank you, Jessica.
well, Tracy is curious, actually, does the course work for Basecamp if you're using, that sort of app?
Yeah, so there's just one lesson on the project management tools, so you can use it with whatever project management system you like, but you'll kind of be able to see how I set things up, how I'm putting tasks in and subtasks, and a lot of those systems have very similar tools. So yeah, you can use that training to kind of figure out how to use any project management platform.
And Melanie says, I wish to purchase. Melanie, that's great. You can just click the button right above the video and
Yay!
you should get instant access. So some questions here. So Robbie says, so you have some tasks which are, the want to do tasks. Can you just do them if you finish everything else for the month?
Mm. I'm on the fence about this. So usually my response is take a break. That's why you plan your whole month. So if I finish my to-do list at 3 p.m., I'm done working. Occasionally, like, if I'm really excited, if I'm feeling inspired, yeah, I'll do some extra tasks. But I would say put them into your project management system, put them into your calendar, and give yourself a day off.
Nice. I like that philosophy. And we had another question here. So I know you get these sorts of questions a lot. This one in particular is asking you about, the benefits of Asana versus Notion, but I might back up a little bit and modify this question to say, what do you really kind of look for when you're kind of picking a task management app, and, what might be some different things that might attract different folks?
I love that. So for me, it was simplicity. I think I looked at like 4 or 5. I looked at like Trello, Basecamp. I don't think Monday was around yet. But I was looking for simplicity, not only for myself, but so that I could also teach all of you. So things like being able to do repeating tasks, having a calendar layout. I like to look at my entire month at one time. Maybe you like to look at only a week. So making sure that the layout appeals to you. You definitely want to try a project manage, or you want to find a project management system that is going to be easy for you to actually use. So I would totally sign up for a bunch of them, drop a bunch of tasks in there, use some of the features and see how it feels for you. And hopefully you'll find something that kind of flows with how you like to work.
Nice. Now, we had a good question here from Kara. Kara says, in your experience, what are the best money-making tasks? So when I don't have an obvious next step, like a client to work with, I don't know like what to prioritize.
Marketing. So sending emails, growing your email list. If you're like, girl, I have 25 people on my list, send them emails, but also things that grow your email list. So maybe you need to create a free download to grow your email list. And then you're going to go on Instagram or Facebook, and maybe you're going to do a live, or maybe you're going to do a video or a post and tell people how they can get that free download. So kind of working backwards from how do people pay me? Okay, they buy the course. So how do I get them to buy the course? I tell them about the course. How do I tell them about the course? Maybe it's email, Instagram post, maybe it's through a freebie. How do I get them onto my email list? Freebie, Instagram post, blog post, Pinterest, podcast. That was the other one I was going to say. So I would focus on your marketing essentially, if you're not having clients or any projects to work on.
It makes sense. Now, something that I've seen asked a lot is, is there anything that you're doing in your marketing this year that's kind of different than what you're doing last year? And I know that
Ooh.
probably there's some stuff because of coronavirus, but tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about that.
I am trying to show up more as myself. That's such like not a strategy kind of answer, but I pay attention to how I feel and how I respond to things that other people post. So whether it's on Instagram, on Facebook, whether it's an email that came in, a podcast episode, I'm really paying attention to what things appeal to me and then seeing how I can adjust that for my own audience. And one of the things I really noticed was I am attracted to people who just show up how they are. They show up, they're kind of casual and natural with how they teach. Like I don't like PowerPoint presentation like with a pointer and diagrams and things like that. I want to like learn from an actual human. So that was one of the things that I'm really focusing on this year, is to show up as like my full authentic self. What does that even mean? But making sure that like if you meet me in person, you get the same thing. And then the other thing is I'm always working on keeping my focus. Like I feel like such a rock star if I can sit down and write all of my emails like for a workshop in one sitting. Like I sit down for a good 2 hours and get them all done without picking up my phone. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, some people like to do the Pomodoro technique, which might work for you. That's essentially working for like 20 or 30 minutes, I think, and then you take a 5-minute break. That doesn't work for me. I park it for 2 hours and get the thing done. So, something like that might be helpful as well.
Nice. Thanks so much, Sarah. And
Yeah.
we had someone chiming in the chat. They say, "I've been a student of Sarah's in group coaching, and she is incredible. If you're on the fence, get off it and buy this. If you want to implement better productivity habits, you have to do the work, but she gives you all the framework that you need."
My students are the best, you
Uh,
guys.
there's so much love in this chat. I do a lot of these webinars, and this one is unusually, warm, I would say. So we have a Jordan here as a great comment. So Jordan says, I guess this is a question of kind of how much you should be investing in your business. Jordan asks, what would you say is a reasonable amount to spend on specifically Facebook ads to grow a course?
Ooh, I'm not a Facebook ads expert, so I don't have a great answer. Some people spend like $10,000. I actually spend money on Instagram ads, and I spend like $10. So part of the reason is that I have really good organic reach. My audience is really good at engaging with me, so I don't need to spend, or I choose to not spend a lot of money on that. I would prefer to spend money on courses and coaching, but when I do Instagram ads, I literally spend $10 on a post that is already done well, and then run it for like 2 days. And it just gives me like a little bit of a boost, gets me in front of some people that haven't interacted with me before. Um, yeah, Claire Pelletro, clairepels.com is an awesome Facebook ads expert. I would listen to her about that because, yeah, I don't do like the big budget, tons of retargeting ads. That's not really my jam.
Makes sense. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And Sarah in the chat, she says that she agrees the 20 minutes of Pomodoro time means that if I do get sucked into scrolling, the Pomodoro time goes off so I don't lose too much time. So I guess that's what works for her.
Yeah, do whatever works for you. That's like if you're having a hard time, if you're overwhelmed, look at how you're running things, not at your strategies. Look at like how much you're doing, where you're spending your time. You can literally just like time track and write down what you're doing all day, because that is what is going to help you simplify things. So if you're overwhelmed, look at how you can make all of your tasks easier and do less, but still have that like effective piece of it running.
Yeah. I think we have time for one or two more questions. So
Okay.
I see one from Melanie here. Melanie says, I'm just starting up with my school and course. I'm taking the time to learn and create, working on ideas. How do you move from the idea phase and get into the launch phase? How does that schedule work for you?
Well, first, I should say you should come hang out with me in my coaching program because I will walk you through everything. But it's very structured. So I brainstorm and kind of figure out what I want to do. I talk to my audience and make sure that they are actually interested in that topic. Then I then I do my sales page. Then I do the course creation. And then I go into actually launching. Once you have your sales page done, if you want to pre-launch and do something like that and start earning a little money before you launch, you can do that. But yeah, and the other thing is that I move really fast. I was talking to my boyfriend last night. I can't remember what I was doing, but he was like, oh yeah, you have to like do this and this and this. And I'm like, oh no, I already did that. I had my idea. I decided I was going to do it, put it in my calendar, and now it's done.
There we go.
Fast
Um,
moving.
so Sarah in chat says, if you want to learn how long a thing takes, look at Toggle time tracking. It's great for time tracking projects. It's a
Yeah,
good suggestion from Sarah. And
thank
Christy, you're
you.
responding to what you said earlier, says, I'm in her program and I can vouch for that.
Yeah, Christy's in it right now. Woo.
Now, I guess, so one thing, we're almost at time here. So what I would like is I would love if everyone in the audience could just say thank you to Sarah for sharing so generously like her time and her energy with us. I really love, my job because I get to come and, attend all these workshops. And this one has been really fantastic in terms of, just how much the audience loves what you have to say. So I would love to see some thank yous in the chat. And while I see that, Sarah, any last words that you'd have for anyone kind of, they might be on the fence considering like the course or, going further? What would you say to them?
I think whether you do the course or not, make a calendar and plan in advance. I know it goes against a lot of if you're into like the four tendencies, a lot of you might be rebels and you just don't want to do that. So force yourself to do it, because I'm telling you, on the days that you don't feel like it, like I have anxiety. And so there are plenty of days when I don't feel like it. I don't feel like getting on Instagram. I don't feel like doing webinars. I don't feel like writing emails because everything I write sounds stupid. I have the same thing. So if you have a plan, you can do two things. One, you can just say, this is the next task that I need to get done, and I'm just going to sit down and do it. Number two, since you have your whole month planned, it's a little bit easier to move things around and still stay on track. If you don't have it all in one spot, something is going to fall through the cracks. You're going to end up doing a bunch of random stuff that isn't going to keep you on track. And so throwing away all of those little tasks and just focusing on the important money-making, marketing, client, and customer tasks are going to be really important and really helpful for growing your business.
All right. And on that note, I think it's time we wrap things up. So thank you so much,
Yay!
Sarah, for joining us. And thank you to our audience for taking the time out
Yes.
of your busy days to come and, really learn something with us. So thank you to everyone for joining us, and hope to see you all on the inside of Sarah's course.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, guys.
all right. See everyone later.